on. Aha. That is almost like our, like do. That's how we know that the show has officially started. Good evening, beautiful people of South Africa. Welcome to yet another interesting show of That's Deep, our route to fruitfulness. My name is Slondiwe Mutabi, and I'm not here alone. I'm here with Lesego.
Lesego Mutabi.
Yes, and together we are the host of the show called That's Deep. Of course, we fall under the media production company called Tito Kang, which is a baby of Ruth K Foundation. Welcome to all our panelists. We are still expecting another 2 or 3 people to join us, but because of time, we are going to take this moment to start with the introductions, and hopefully all the other guests that need to join us will be here by the time. It's Heritage Month. And I think every moment and every single show that we've had before this one has led to this moment. Why do I say that?
Because, whatever issue we've discussed in the past, it has always linked back to who are you, your identity. So hence the topic today.
The topic today is actually a question, and maybe today we'll come up with an answer to that question, and we're here to learn and share our experiences and share our knowledge, and hopefully by the time that we're done, we're able to answer this question: do I even know who I am? Of course, I'm a South African, I'm a female, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a chemical engineer, but is that my identity? And I think today is the day where we unravel and we come up with answers to this very important question that is sometimes neglected.
Yes.
So without further ado, I'd like to welcome you all once again, and together with our viewers who are going to be watching this online. I would like to then request that each person very briefly just introduces themselves and lets us know what it is that they do, and then we get straight into the show. May I please, and I'm going to request, for the reason that we have quite a big group, if I don't request, sometimes we have odd moments of silence, so I will be saying, may Gogo Makosi or Ama or Gogo Mokachane go first, just so that we can get that flow. We do have only an hour to cover all the topics that we are discussing today. So I'd like to start with Daniel. Could you please unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Okay. My name is Daniel Mguye. I call myself a spiritual seeker and also a spiritual teacher, because being a seeker never ends, because I don't think we arrive at that place where we think we know everything, or every day you find yourself, you just want to know. The more you think you know, the more you understand that you don't know anything. You are learning every day. Even now, as I'm here to learn.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniel. Amor? Hi, Amor. You can tell us about yourself.
Surprise, Ama. I'm not sure whether we are pronouncing the name correctly, so we're requesting that surprise, Ama, please introduce herself. She's potentially not hearing us. We'll move right ahead to Gogo Makosi. Gogo Makosi, are you able to hear us?
Yes, good evening, everyone, and to the listeners as well. My name is Linda Hlachwayo, also known as Gogo Makosi Abuile. And I think that name comes from the fact that Amakosi Asekaya Abuya through me, undergoing this journey of self, of alignment. Just like Daniel, who's a good brother of mine, I'm also a child of the universe in pursuit of seeking knowledge, and in pursuit of understanding what the universe requires for us to be in alignment with it. As he mentioned, we never stop learning. That's basically, I think that's the reason why we're part of this panel today. But background-wise, academically, I was a scholar or an employee or a practitioner in the marketing and communication space, who's always been someone who's very entrepreneurial from high school days. And then eventually I let go of my career and focused on my business. And I'm running a marketing and communications stakeholder engagement and public participations company. I'm also in the mining space. Basically that's in short. There's a whole lot of other things that I'm working on, but I suppose that will be seen in the near future that are more related to my spiritual calling and alignment. Thank you.
Thank you, Gogo Makosi. Itu, the mic is yours now. Please introduce yourself.
Madume Bakaisho, humble greetings. Thank you so much for inviting me to this platform. I'm very honored to be here. So I'm developing a bit of a flu, so my voice might not be clear. Nakale bitso ke itumeleng o ga se itsewi ke motou ngwa ga phatla ba mangwe. I'm a young African man born and bred in the Free State province, and I've been staying in Mafikeng for the past 10 years now. And the primary reason why I have been here is because of my pursuit for indigenous knowledge systems, which got introduced to me through my studies here at the Northwest University. And ever since I completed my first degree, I then went further to pursue my master's, and it has basically opened up a path or a journey towards learning more about who we are as African people, where we come from. And at the moment, my research focus is more mokgatlo wa dingaka. So it's been quite interesting to learn more about that and to see how it's aligned with my purpose and what I'm called to do. Itumeleng ke motho a ratang go bala dibuka tsa se Africa, and we review these books on the radio or Radio Diamonding FM in our show called My Art Radio Show. So this is basically where I do some of the work that is in line with my purpose.
Who's left?
Gogo Mukachane.
Gogo Mukachane, over to you.
She wasn't joining us.
Unmute yourself, thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I greet you all. My name is Dr. Coco M. Mokgachane, but my name Yanama Ketebogolu Thando Mokgachane. I'm a retired medical doctor who had to become a Gogo and integrate medicine and the calling to be one. Currently working in opening a clinic called Dr. Gogo M, where we are establishing allopathic medicine and indigenous knowledge systems medicine. We've started our pilot Deep Kloof for Zoda Koza Foundation, where we have consultancies, and we're just setting up the clinic. But ultimately, the aim is to move it to Rustenburg, where my beautiful learned sister friend Gogo Makhosi is it. I'm also a member of the Traditional Healers Organization, Johannesburg, Senior Shashandele and Promoter. This is where I met Gogo Makhosi Abuile, who's become a wonderful sister. I am in the healing space, but I'm no longer practicing Western medicine. Integrate medicine. So what you can call me is I'm a holistic health practitioner. A little bit of myself. I read a lot, I write a lot.
I think something happened there with Gogo M because we can't hear him anymore.
I'll be moving a little bit because I'm actually at an initiate, but that is me in a nutshell. Makhosi.
Gogoza, I'm so interested in finding out more because it seems like everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody's seeking for self, everybody's seeking for alignment. And I think if you're here tonight, you are in the right place. If identity is what you're trying to discover as well, then you're definitely in the right place. Lastly, I think we want to go back to Surprise Armor. If you can hear us now, you're able to respond. Just an introduction to say who it is that you are. In not so many words. I see you, Tepi. Good evening and welcome. But let's just go straight to Dr. Surprise Armor.
Good evening, dumelang. Lebitso la ka ke nna Surprise Mohau Amo Asegae. Ke gogo, ke gobela. I'm an entrepreneur. I do a lot of things. I work with people. I love people, and yeah, that's me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. With that being said, thank you all. We are still waiting for quite a number of our panelists, but I think whoever is here right now will be able to help us to get the show started. We do acknowledge everyone who's here as a visitor. We see Tepi is here. She's trying to settle in. We're going to start with the very first question, which is, what would you say, in your own words, is the thing that gives you identity? You know, we've heard some are life coaches, others are retired doctors, most people are gogos and gobelas, but what would you say is the thing or the things that give us identity? Because a lot of us have struggled with this, most often putting the career as the identity. So yes, I am a process engineer and that's who I am. But the question is that who I am? And maybe to help us start with that question, I'd really like to start with Gogo Makhosi giving us her insight on what it is that gives us identity. Gogo Makhosi?
Thanks, Slondi. Is it Slondiwe?
Yes, Slondiwe is my name. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Well, I think my identity is characterized by a whole lot of things. And having undergone this journey of finding the self, I think the first is the fact that ngingumhayisi wakolanga, ungwanyo siyendana, cebisa kamabhengeda, ukitogogweni wavala iminyango ngamakhanda amadoda gogodlana. You know, yithe esacebisa amakhosi. That is the foundation of my identity before anything else. And then I could say that being born Piscean also, adds or edifies to my character and my identity as a person, because it helps me identify my personality, how I relate with other people and how other people relate to me. It helps me identify my sensitivities, my spiritual grounding. And therefore that has helped me to find my pursuit in me trying to balance myself and align myself. And I think also the foundation is obviously you know, the God that we all serve, and my ancestors. That is the foundation, and everything else falls into place after you know, I found that this is who I am. I think let me give others a chance to add on.
Yeah,
on what I think my identity is.
With a lot of what Gogo Makhosi is saying. And I want to hear from Daniel Luguti. Would you concur to Gogo Makhosi's definition of identity, or do you perhaps have something else to add, other than the fact that your surname, your spirituality, and maybe even the God that you're serving is what creates an identity? Daniel, how would you answer this question?
Hey, on my side, it's a very complex question, but I will try my best to try to explain it in a sense that everyone can be able to understand. But I will also try to look at how I would say I discovered myself. First of all, I believe that when we come into this world as children, first of all, we are born into families that raise us, and also we are born into parents. First of all, your identity is start from there, where you know who you are, based on the lineage where you come from, because the body, the temple or whatever, what house you, because you are a spirit being, it carries also information in itself that becomes part of your identity or how you view the world. So that one also, I would say, it influences you more than anything else. That is why you'll see that, I think Socrates, who a great philosopher, who was a part of the, who said, give me a man until he's 7. I will give me a child until he's 7. I will show you a man. That means also that as children, before we're even born, while we're in a mother's womb, the environment and of the people that we are, that raise us, or where we are raised, is got a way of also influencing us from before we're even born till we're, I think, when the egoic self has already developed in the 9 year, when you are 9 years or maybe 11 years, it differs. But mostly research says 7 years, others say 11 years, but 12 years, when the child starts having an identity that we can see expressing itself in a form of a personality. So that shows it comes with different forms of stages. But in the journey now, I will say, in terms of identity, once now you become a spiritual, you start understanding now that you are more than this, because you want also, for you to be able to fulfill that spiritual purpose, you want to be able to watch or to sense yourself beyond what we call personality. Because for you to be able to say, to channel maybe what is your ancestry wisdom, or to become one, or to blend with what is spiritual, you need to transcend the personality, the egoic self, so that you can be able to be one with that, because that one is beyond, it vibrates, or it travels beyond what you call the personality, the limited you. That's what I can try to define identity. You start from there as your child, but again, when you become spiritual, you transcend it. You start transmitting the bigger frequencies that are beyond the personal self. Yes.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yes.
I would say that, you know, the way you are bringing it all together with what Gogo Makhosi said is quite interesting. We'll take one more.
Now let's take another one. I think it's an important one that we
Yes.
cover and just hear what everyone has to say. By the time we get to the other ones, I think answers would have also come through. So we are able to take another answer on that same question.
Amor, you may give us your view on that question of identity.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that today we are talking about identity because I'm one of those people who struggled with identity. My dad is Portuguese. My mom, she's Black. I grew up in a Black community, and I always yeah, growing up, it was very tough for me. I couldn't understand whether I am Black or I am white, or where do exactly I fall in the two worlds. So most of my life, I tried to blend in.
We are losing you there.
And yeah, as I grew up, I realized that I am who God said I am, whoever I want to be. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, we can
Can
hear
you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. No, I'm having a challenge here with my network. Yes. As I was saying that as I grew up, I realized that I choose who I want to be identified as. I am who God says I am. I am my ancestors. I am myself. I cannot be what people want me to be. And as a spiritual person, I've learned that knowing where I come from my father's side, from my mother's side, is making me who I am today.
Oh,
Thank you so much for that.
Hello?
Is having quite we can't make out any more of what you're saying, but I think we have established the different, or coming from a blended family being a challenge for you. And I think it's not just herself. There's even people like our family is blended in the sense that Lesego ke Motswana, mina ngumZulu, and so our children always struggling with, you know, mother tongue is what? Is it Zulu or is it Setswana? And are we Tswana or are we Zulu? So I think it's an important thing to unravel. And I don't think we actually ever get to the point, and I think what Dr. Makosi did say this, that we can say we fully understand who it is that we are, because as we grow and mature, we are changing and we're establishing more.
and you see a different layer of yourself. And in that way, you know, like you saying that you is it Daniel who said you go beyond the ego,
The personality.
the personality. Now you are finding the different person now on a different vibration plane. It had already said, he had already given us
No, he hasn't. It was just under the introduction, so he can still go. Itumeleng, are you able to give us your point on that question? Letla, we acknowledge you and welcome. Okay, there's nothing from Letla. Itumeleng, are you able to answer on that question?
Thokozani, dumelang hape bagaetsho. I think pretty much what our panelists have mentioned is my understanding of what gives us identity. Identity, Rona, it's about the self, the I. You know, in one of the African movements of Rastafari, they often talk about the identity as I and I, meaning how I am connected with the next person. So I think my identity as I grew up and I follow my journey is somehow related and intertwined with it's either my family, from my father's side, my mother's side, but also my the connection that I developed with nature, with the environment, learning more about my totem and how I can exhibit qualities of the totem that I did. with. So all these elements, all these components, they make up identity of who we are. Our understanding of time and what time of the day we are in, especially grounded in the African indigenous calendar. All those things, they contribute to defining yourself and your identity beyond just the tribal or the personal self. But most importantly, I think the identity arona or identity arona as African people is mostly comprised or composed of our soul, our spirit, the great spirit of Phu. And the more we connect with this spirit, that's how we become more aligned with who we are and our identity. So I can say, in addition to what others have said, that's what I think also contributes to defining your identity.
I'm so drawn to the issue. So sorry, the issue of time that Idu is bringing up, and I so wish that we could have this over a full day where these topics are not just rushed through, but like gone into in depth, because it's not the first time that we're hearing about time and indigenous African time, and yet we're not really conscious of what does it mean, so it's noon, and so what does it mean? So it's the 26th, apparently the 26th of September is the beginning of the year for Africans. Are we even conscious? Are we aware of such things? And what does it mean to us going out there and living our true self and being woke and living the fullest potential? So I think it's an ongoing topic that we'd have to always try to cover every now and again wherever we get a chance.
I think as time goes by, we will unravel this African time that we get to understand it better.
Because at the moment,
I know, I saw it in my face.
Let's try and do that. Let's try and do that, sure.
Gogo Mukachane, view for.
Ke a leboga rra, ke a leboga moradisi baradisi. Ke a leboga go menagane, di a bulela kakhulu. Inzalo yelanga, it's our new year, and it's on the 23rd of September.
23rd.
And we were celebrating it in Mpumalanga, where the merge stone of African people is at. I just wanted to share that a little bit. So, and the people, so Masi Togozisa City, Nina Basekemu, you of the Kemet spirit, you of the Hemitic spirit, because that's where we come from. So identity to me is a sense of self. That sense of self in this regard, self has two constructs to it. There is the big self and the small self. The big self is the God self. The small self is the ego self. So that's why we always say we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. So singabantu bakamoya kodwa sisemhlabeni yenyama. That's why I'm a gogo, but I'm a male. In the physical, I'm a man, a stable. But in spirit, I'm a woman in spirit. So we are a construct of the God self and the small self. So to me, that is identity. And to me, identity is what do I say I am when I am not what they say I am.
Again, come again. What do I say I am?
What do I say I am when they say I am what I am not?
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't even know the answer to that question.
I don't know.
I know. I don't know what I say.
Elaborate more, we'll get there.
So you're muted now, Doc.
You're on mute.
Hey,
No, thank you.
tsamaya di itobetsa kgaitsedi tsa mekgwa
Ra
I get
utlwa.
no badimo ba tsamaya ba tobetsa dino, but they just switch off things. It's spirit where I am at. So so identity to me in that aspect, yeah, gore, we live in a world where we are defined by concepts and ideas, and these concepts and ideas make us gore ke motho. But now I feel identity is energy, because energy cannot be created. It can only be moved from one form to the other. It moved you slowly as wife to husband, made Lesego husband to wife. But Lesego is still a brother, Lesego is still a father, Lesego is still a human being on his own. He's made Linda. Linda is a gogo, entrepreneur, friend. So in a lead categories, and those categories, concepts and ideas, they then add into energy. But now re energy, re mafela, we re moya. Nakos.
Thokoza. All right.
Nakos.
You know what when the way you are linking it, and I like what you are saying, even if I don't understand it. What do I say? What do I say I am? When they say who I'm not. I hope go na le o tla e ranolang fo bagaetsho sekgwa sena ke santse go le phakela thata re tla fitlha ko go sone. Ke batla go bona ko Gogo is it Gogo Makhosi? Yes, Gogo Makhosi a se botsang ka one as giving us umlando of who she is, the family lineage and all that, because oftentimes we are aware of our family and cultural identity, but from that, how do we develop our self-identity? How do we link the two? Your more lining in your family line, how does that transcend into your identity? And maybe we will go back to Gogo Makhosi for how to wakabani how does that feed self-identity?
So we are warriors, right? We've got fighting spirits, and fighting in the sense of being amakawe, right? And that resonates so much in me because I've got that character, I've got that fighting spirit. I never say I give up. And it's so important that when the going gets tough, you have people around you who understand you spiritually, who are able to help you remind you of who you are. We are those that, okay,
yeah.
So it means that, it's just that it's something that I'm also working on in terms of tracing. So essentially, to me, it means there was a light in the Hlatshwayo clan that was there for amakhosi ukuthi acebiswe. I don't know if you understand what I'm getting at. So as human beings, as human beings, like Ugogo M was mentioning earlier about us being energy centers, right? So our energy centers, some people are able to see the light that we shine, and having people around us, they're able to tap into that light in order for light to come into their lives as well. So yes, I think when I try to break it down in terms of lineage, I see who I am. I see that I'm a warrior, I'm a fighter, and I've got light that brings forth light into other people's lives. And I think when I look at my life, that's exactly the type of nature that I have. And those that know me personally, I think they can attest to it. Thank you.
Governor Makosi, would you say that this referencing of lineage is also reminding you that you are actually a continuum of something that began a long time ago? Hence, you need to acknowledge it, that you have been fused and through the eons of time.
No, indeed, I can agree with that. Remember, we've got more than 1,000 ancestors.
Mm.
So that infusion, it goes way back. And over time, as they come back and live through us, you become a better version of who they were when they were still alive. And I think Ugogo M can elaborate more on that, because certain topics you need to leave them for those that are pros in the context and contextualization of the actual ideologies.
Oh, thank you. I think Gogo M, it's just the word to you. Carry on right there.
I think I think we did say I am who and what I am when they say who and what I am not. Now, who? Let's talk about who. The who of you has a name. The who of you is a person. So the who of you is heritage. That heritage is taken from Genesis, beginning, because it's where you come from. So where do you come from? You come from two energy beings, which we will call the maternal family and the paternal family. From the family, we then come into the integration of two individuals, Ubaba, no Ma, Ma, Ra. Then we come and say, you must come. You become the androgynous being, Umtwana. Umtwana becomes the composition of the masculine and the feminine. But what we don't know is wena, you've got the masculine and the feminine. Me Slondiwe has the feminine and the masculine. So those made. So it means, we are seeing a composition of four. That's the heritage you carry. Four generations. And the Bible says, I will bless you from the fourth generation going down. That has meaning. The word of you is what I call spices. The spices of life. What are the spices of life? You are a social being. You are a sexual being. You are a physical being. You are a creative being. You are an intelligent being. So those are the what? Those are the spices of life, the planes of life, the planes of being. So ultimately, it means you are a conscious being having a spiritual experience. So that is the who and the what. They say you are not when you say the who and what you are. Tokusai.
I should have brought a pen for this. Okay, it's a good thing it's recorded.
It's recorded, eh?
We have a chance, relaxed and come back to this and
I
listen.
think we need a bottle of whiskey.
A bottle of whiskey. This is so cool. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. M, for that. Daniel, would you like to add on to that? It's becoming deeper and more complex the more we talk about it. I'm not sure whether we're going to come out here clearer or we're going to be asking even more questions, because Dr. Gogo M mentioned the small being and the big being, and now there's this other part of being who we say we are when other people are calling us something else. So Dr. Daniel, would you like to please just add your point on this one?
Yeah, what Gogo M has tried to explain, I think is brilliant. I resonate a lot with that. because I will say also is that I think Gogo Makosi said something also in terms of the continuity of those who came before us. I believe that the ancestors they are there to support our calling. Yes, there is a uniqueness of who we are in terms of how the calling is expressing itself. But I believe that calling, there is a preceding calling that is calling us. That's what we call calling. The contrast that we are living, the challenges, how we were born, or the things that we go through at times that help us to discover. You'll find that sometimes before you discover your calling, you go through so many turbulences that also there's a purpose for that you have to go through certain things. Some people maybe they'll become sick and whatever till they discover that they are real healers. Actually, then you discover that there's a relationship how you are living life in the physical and the calling that is calling you. You'll find that actually you face maybe a contrast like a problematic situations that bring a solution. Then you become a solution to someone because the solution was born out of the very darkness that you went through. So then tomorrow you become the light that everyone enjoys. Then you find that mostly it is those who came before us that bring the calling to us, that enlighten us and show us the direction. I will make an example. Growing up, the calling was there for me, but I did not know my grandmother, especially from my mother's side. People will talk about her, but I was not interested because after I went to do theology, I became a pastor. And then after I became a pastor, my grandmother showed up to me in a dream. When she comes to me, funny enough, she comes talking to me about business. I'm a businessman, and one thing she came in, we discussed business. She asked me, Mzukulwana, how is business? Then I started explaining that, hey, Gogo, I'm going through challenges. It's funny, when she showed up, I knew who she was because of that oneness. The vibration was so one. I knew it's my grandmother because I gave her a hug in the dream, and she looks like exactly like my mother and my auntie, and even the body was just like, and the love that I was feeling in that space was beyond. There was just so, it was so orgasmic when you feel so aligned. So it was something else, a bliss that I will never explain. Now I tell her that, okay, there's a problem here. Hey, man, business is down. I'm trying to do this, but things are not. Then she says to me, you don't see, things are fine. And when I woke up that morning and I called my mother and, Mommy, hey, I see Gogo coming like this. And my mother was excited. My mother, Isango. And first of all, you must understand to my family that now I had ran away altogether. Now, me, I'm a pastor, and here is a pastor coming and say, Gogo is just showed up to me in this manner. And like while I was like overwhelmed by the love that I received in that divine space, you know what happened? Around 9 o'clock, I was called by the mind. And when they called me, they said to me, we have been looking for you. We want you to come and do the work. Can you please send us a quotation for a quotation?
Because I can't do Zoom.
I just muted her. Sorry.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Then she says to me, okay, I must charge 350,000 for this work I need to do. Remember, I was just invited at the mine. I must speak at the event. She says to me, charge 350,000. I'm in that space. I sent them a quotation, 350,000. Do to my surprise, that afternoon around 3 o'clock, again they called me. They said the GM has approved your quotation. I'm so overwhelmed, and I went there and did whatever I need to do. But to be honest with you, for me, that's why the turnaround happened. Then I said, okay, actually, ancestors, they are for our benefit. Actually, they are involved in business. They know more about business. They know about, because sometimes, let me tell you something, what was a wake-up call for me is because we always, when we want to talk to our ancestors, we associate with them with the past, as if they are not interested on our daily lives, on the business. You know, one thing I had to learn that actually when it comes to technology, they are involved with technology. Hence, most of the time when we want to involve them, it's like they are not involved on things that are modern. But for me, what I discovered was that actually they are more modern through us.
This is a very beautiful testimony, and I think as if you grow up in a family that is rooted in Christ and Christianity and sort of shies away from any ancestral talk or even activity, it really becomes a challenge trying to channel yourself through the ancestral parts. And then I love what Daniel is saying about running from the calling. I always say it's called a calling because first you run. You know, it's almost first nature for us to run from the thing. That thing that you are running from is the one that is calling you, and it will call you until you stop and you say, here I am. And then from that moment, honestly, you know, Daniel's testimony, I like it because it also has money. But I mean, from that moment, you know, when you acknowledge the calling, things definitely do turn around. And I really love that testimony.
It brings all that we are talking about, like the energy and all that together to say, you know, our ancestors are for us and they are in this timeline, in our life.
But I think we're also witnessing it a lot with the UK Foundation, and maybe it's time as Africans, because I think from the very beginning of this talk show, the question has been, how do we excel best in who we are? You know, there are things that work best for Africans. Yes, we are going out there becoming engineers and scientists and whatnot, but we know that Africans are very artistic. You know, Africans are very good with music, dance, craft, but those things, and even agriculture, we shy away from those. We want the things that will put us international, but according to the world, you know, not according to who you are. So I really love the concept that Ujanel is bringing forward, that they are working for us, they are working with us, and they are more advanced than we probably think that they are. Okay, do you want to have a last person coming on to that one, just coming in between cultural identity and going into finding who you are as an individual? Maybe Amma, would you like to add something there?
Hello.
Yes, Amma.
Listening to with Daniel, it's like he was talking about me. I am one of those people who ran away from the calling. I ran. I knew that I was called when I was 9, and even before my mom, she was also a healer. She's on. I would dream, I would have dreams. I would tell my mom that I dreamt about this, and this person who's coming, you must do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the person will come, the same person will come. My mom will give the person whatever that I prescribed, that I got from my dream, and then the person will be healed. And still, I was like, nah, this is not for me. This Sangoma life is not for me. Look at all the Sangomas, because then Sangomas were like, you know, dirty, poor, and I was like, I cannot be poor. I cannot like always wearing beads and cloth, and it's not my life. That's not me. So I kept on running. Then I went to church. The church that I was going to, they told me that we can see that you are here at church, but you are at the wrong place. And I was like, no, these people, they are crazy. It can't be. It's impossible. I'm going to be here at church, and I'm going to use my gift here at church. And I know that these ancestors, they are going to leave me alone. Then I was in church for like more than 20 years. And after my mom passed on, the ancestors decided to show off, not show up anymore. I was married. My marriage fell apart. Everything that I had like just went poof, and I was left with nothing. And I started taking them serious now, because I can see that things are not happening anymore for me. And wherever I go, they tell me that, it's not like there's a problem. You know what to do. And even in my dreams, they will come and tell me that this, you know what to do. I will look at the wall. I will see like a movie playing. Them telling me what to do, showing me everything, where to go, who must help me. And I will wake up and still deny it. And yeah, like what Daniel said, sometimes they will make you sick. So they decide that, okay, this one, because of she likes nice things and everything, whenever she wants to go out, we'll make sure that her legs doesn't work. So whenever I'm planning something, I couldn't wake up from the bed. When I have an appointment, maybe for business or something, my legs will lock. Then I saw that, you know what, this is serious. Maybe I should try, because I was still not ready. Let me try and see what's happening in the other world. Then I went to this guy that I saw in the dreams. It happens that I went to a friend, I told my friend that this is what's happening and everything. He said, no, I know someone, maybe let's go and consult. And when I got there, I look at the guy that I saw in my dreams. And I was like, no, this cannot be serious. But yeah, I became worse. I got sick and operations and everything. And then I decided that, you know what, this calling thing, let me answer to it and see. Let me test them and see. Because to me, I was like, let me test them and see if everything that they are saying to me is going to happen. Then I went through the journey and everything. And to be honest with you, everything that I've lost, I've recovered like tenfolds. And they show off, and they are always showing off. So ancestors are real. Ancestors, they listen. Ancestors, when you talk to them, don't always go to them crying. Even like talk to them as if you are talking to your parents. And if ever you are not happy about something, tell them, shout at them, tell them that, no, you cannot promise me this, and then you want people to see me as this. Remember, guys, I am you. So if ever you are making people to laugh at me, they are laughing at you. So yeah, I'm fine. Like, ancestors are there, guys, and I love my ancestors. I'm grateful for the calling that I have answered to. I wish I didn't run away like all this time. Maybe I'll be somewhere else today, but yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's anyone who can say, you know what, I got the calling and then I went straight for it. Or is it a human nature to first run?
I think it's the ego. You know, when as the speakers have been talking about the lower self and the higher self, the lower self always want to assert itself above the spirit. And the spirit always wins at the end of the day, you know. Yeah, so I think it's that. And clearly you can see that this lineage, it supports your identity, it builds it up.
Sure. I want to acknowledge just again Ule Tlogonolo. we haven't heard anything from you. I'm not sure whether you are hearing us now because we did try to say hello before. Are you able to hear us, Dr. Khanolo?
Hello, yes, I can hear you.
Awesome, welcome. Welcome so much. And I think because of time, we're going to try and run through the rest of the questions. And so that means that we're not going to be asking the full panel to answer everything, but just selecting a few people to answer that particular question. I want to move on to this one, and it's quite a long one. Yet, as Africans, we generally struggle with this. So we know that it's a norm for fathers to choose not to be part of a child's life, right? So fathers will make the babies happily, but when it's time to raise the child, they decide, I know it's not their kind of thing, right? Yet also as Africans, we know that it is a rule for us to be identified by the father's surname. So whether you like it or not, we know this as a known standing rule that the father is the one who gives the surname to the child. That being so, how then does the child who has been neglected by the father, how is he expected to identify by this person who has rejected and neglected them? And I think there is we can't talk about this enough, African fathers, I don't know about other cultures, but African fathers who are deciding not to be part of their children's life. And then we are having identity crisis because sometimes you're trying to find the father. What was their surname? What is the lineage that we've been talking about? Can I proudly say, is Tagazelo Zasekai? Do I even know what they are?
Do you even want them?
Do I want them? That's another question altogether. So can you please just help us? And I think I'll start with Ngogo Makosi on this one to say, how do I'm making an example, then say I want to identify by my father's surname if he chooses that he does not want to be part of my life? Ngogo Makosi?
Hey, yeah, this topic is this question is very complex, and I guess there's different strokes for different folks. The other thing that comes to my mind now, just out of the blue, I used to grow up saying there's no purity in the genes. There's no purity in the genes because we are all mixed masala. I mean, I've got descendants from Zimbabwe, I've got descendants from Mozambique, I've got descendants from Swaziland, and with the issue, identification, it's usually a problem for the boy child.
Yes.
But I remember coming across some wisdom from another gogo who basically said that, you cannot stop your life because you don't know who your father is. What if this your mother was raped by this particular person? She gave you life, she did not abort you. What then? Let's just talk about that particular scenario where there's no trace. You understand? What then becomes the solution? How do you now where will you go find your father's side of the family? But I'll always advise in circumstances like that, yes, uzophahla abakini obaziyo, ongabazi kuneyindawo ungaphahla kuzo uconnecte nayo. You understand? I mean, ukhona kuphahla kolefelo ngakere esigangeni. Yabona, where we say ukuthi you will find abanye khona. You understand? If you really want to connect and if it's really an issue for you. But what happens if you do not know at all? In this case, this particular scenario that I've mentioned about what happens in rape cases. I think that is what we should really be more focused on. But to those that know who their fathers are and their fathers are not accepting, you cannot force someone to be in your life. You are lucky enough if you know the surname. Yeah, and my advice for that would be to say, "Mawuphahla," but you can't phahla for people who abangakuhlawulanga as well. That's another thing. But also that's also arguable.
I was just
Yeah,
about
but
to
you can't.
Mm.
So now I always say, acknowledge the ones that you know. Those that you don't know. I mean, we go through so many troubles in our lives. I mean, if I could tell you my life story, it's a bit of Gogo Amo and a bit of Oput Daniel and a bit of Umkul Gogo M, you know? So, you know, we've got so many testimonies to tell, but the bottom line is that energy knows energy.
Mm-hmm.
Your ancestors will know you, you may not know them. And
So
I think that is the point of departure. Ukuthi niyangazi ukuthi ngumntana bani, niyangazi nina. So take care of me. I'm not going to struggle, like Ugogo Amo said, I'm not going to struggle nikhona. You know me, I don't know you. Guide me, be with me, lead me, ningivikele ezitheni engizaziyona lengazazi. So I think that should be, you know, the mindset that we should shift ourselves to say, if I don't know you, you know me. And those that, yeah. You were saying?
Also, I think for me, it's that I don't have to call them by name, because I remember there was a time in my life where there was something about water. You know, there is a calabash that my mother-in-law gave to me, and she said to me, "You must put water in it and then drink from it." And I took this thing and I was like, "Oh my, what I know."
And actually, the calabash came from her mother-in-law.
Her mother-in-law,
yes,
yes.
Which was your gift.
So then I'm like, I couldn't say anything. So I put this calabash far away. And then at some stage, something just says to me, take the calabash, put tap water, go and put it outside, speak to your ancestors. Then I am thinking, where do I even start? I mean, I've never done this. No one at home practices anything that has to do with ancestral activities. So first of all, who's my ancestor? You know, I am married to Gohabo Mutabi. Can I then say I'm adopted? So I've got, you know, there. So I had to slowly just take one step at a time and not try to understand everything holistically and say, yeah, now I'm calling Bo Mutabi, now I'm calling Bo Mangmam. Just as Ugogo Makosi is saying, they know who they are. You don't have to put identity to it to say, Nina Bawamsezane, Nina Nabakaskosana, Ning guide. They already know, because energy knows energy. I think that answers a lot on its own.
I think it can...
Absolutely. I was going to say, just as you close that up, for those that have got issues with that, Maba Pasha, they must just say they must just generalize it. Yabon, ogogo nabomkhulu, engibaziyo nalangabazi. And especially the most important thing is ingelo zokhanya. Because you'll call upon bad energies. We understand. So you need to call upon those abakhanyayo so that you attract the light that they come with into your life. In order for your light to also shine forth and beyond.
Yeah, I think, can I just add something there
to
what Gogo said? There are things that we need to understand. We discuss with Gogo Makosi many of the time that what I also learned, in the path of the ancestors, there's what we call spin-offs. There is Amakoso Kanya, that is very important. Anybody who passed away, they leave behind the spin-off. That is why you'll see in our African culture, if somebody dies maybe of an accident, we don't bring that person at home. If somebody is stabbed, we don't bring that person at home. Why? Because there is an energy of a spin-off of that person because they die in a violent way. That energy, it need not to come into the home, and because what happens, it becomes harmful. So there are energies like those. They are the ones sometimes, certain people, they say they are connecting to the ancestors, but they are not actually connecting to the intelligence that is beneficial to them, the real ancestors. You see, so that is where there is darkness and confusion. But the real ancestors, they will never confuse you. Like, look at my grandmother. I did not know. My grandmother died far before I was born. I did not know her, but she made sure she comes to me because before I was born, she was there. She was part of the decision that is beyond, that made sure that I was born in the way that I was born. So even anybody, I would say, who's got a challenge of, no, there is those people who were there when you came, because sometimes I would say we don't come from a victim place when we are born. We come from a place of power. There is a purpose why we have to be born, even if you were born of a rape. From the spiritual perspective, there was no rape, but there was an agency that you needed to come into the world. The way you come, actually, I say sometimes it comes in the form of like it's darkness, but actually you are here to bring birth to a light. Hence, that you will see so many people who are blessed in their calling. When you look at Oprah Winfrey, his upbringing and how painful and raped and so many things she went through. But look at the light that she has become today in the world. So that is why I'm saying the contrast that you are born in actually is the one that actually gives birth to the light that is going to call you to become the light of the world.
Okay, like a true.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
We concur with that.
I think both your answers to that question just settles a lot of things, and it gives light. It gives light because most men in search of identity, in search of who am I if I don't know my father, and Gobo Makosi says you can't phahlela people ba ba sa go tlhaolang because ngwana o tsaletsweng go gabo mmagwe ke ngwana wa lapa leo tlo bona ga se ngwana wa go gabo rrago ke ra ka Setswana, and you stay here until they recognize you, then you can acknowledge them. So when you say that you can be able to generalize, I like that because it's sort of a legal leeway. You are not doing anything wrong, but you are traveling in a very clear path to connect. And what I would like to know is, to what extent does not understanding your identity affect your journey? And I would like to be broad with this one. It's not just knowing your identity in a form of your DNA, but not knowing your identity holistically. If I don't know who I am, how do I walk the path that I'm supposed to be in? I would like Itu to illuminate us on that one. Shed the light to me.
I think I will try to sort of relate my response to my personal experience. I think those are some of the best teaching moments. So, and with my experience, it's somehow related to my biological identity. How being in touch with your biological identity somehow allows you to have more clarity about what your purpose is and what your journey is in life. So for me, I would say my identity has been sort of fluid. And over time, I have been going through different successive stages of awakening my consciousness. And the more I awakened to my consciousness, is the more I became attuned to my identity and to my purpose. Now, with me, it's been weird in the sense that I grew up in a family where religion was part of how my identity became crystallized growing up in a religious family. But over time, I decided to break out of that cultural container that I was growing in and decided to set on a path where I would discover more of who I am. And for about 10 years, I lived the journey and followed the path of being a Rastafari, and it really defined me and it contributed to who I am. And a lot of things became developed in that process. And when I was when I was about 25 years old, I then discovered that the father who had raised me and who was then married to my mother is not my biological father. And now my biological father came into the picture, and this sort of changed everything about what I thought I am, who I thought I was, and how my purpose in life, what my purpose in life is. And this knowledge of my father and who he is, and the ancestors that he carries and that have been in me all along, but I was not aware of their presence. So now coming into consciousness with this new part of myself, it changed everything, changed my thinking. I suddenly started to find myself digressing more and more from the Rastafari liberty that I've been living for over 10 years. I found myself now hearing and being in tune with other voices that were not there within me, starting to dream certain dreams that I was not dreaming before. So my whole life in totality began to change and transform. And the more as I try to bring a balance between my identity, because I feel like I could not discard the family that had raised me and whom I still carry that surname even to this day. So it had to be an issue of me trying to find a balance between who I grew up knowing myself to be and who my new biological father is, and even the maternal family that raised me. Because a huge part of my life, I grew up under the care of my grandmother from my mom's side. And this helped me develop a knowledge that the Basotho like to say that tsebo ya nnete ke tsebo ya letswele. And I think this just shows how in our African society, matriarchy was the norm. And although now this aspect of my father's biological father and the father who raised me, but I still feel a much closer relationship to my maternal family, because that ke yona tsebo ya nnete ke nyantseng, ke yona tsebo ya letswele leo. And I think over the years, part of my identity or who I'm supposed to be became merged into my studies. Somehow the tutors at school, they became a platform to bring me closer to myself and to understanding who I am. That is why I'm busy writing a book that I'll focus more once I'm done with my research. And it will be titled something like Research as Initiation, my journey as indigenous researcher. Because as I was doing this research, I came in contact with different people whom I think served a similar role as a Gobela would serve when you are under initiation. They would somehow help me come closer to my self-healing power, come closer to my identity. They brought me closer to healing wounds that have been within me and somehow were sort of delaying me from becoming who I'm supposed to be. So all these different people, they serve different roles in my research journey. until at the end, I found myself doing research with Dingak, which has now opened up a new room to discovering new things about myself that are linked to my maternal ancestor. I find that, you know, my great-grandfather, who's my grandmother's father, was also a traditional healer in the Northwest UK. And I found out more and more that my interest in wanting to do research with Dingak has a lot to do with Datemogolo and what he has been trying to whisper to me. But perhaps at that time I could not hear. But now through my research, it has somehow, you know, brought me closer to hearing Datemogolo and ditaelo tsa Ntatemoholo hore what should I do and how should I navigate through this research, and how in turn it will bring me closer to my identity. So I think not knowing your identity is sort of tantamount to suicide. And I think my journey and how I have developed with like successive stages has brought me closer to healing. And had I not really come close to who I am, I think I would slowly degenerate and decompose until eventually perhaps I even die. So I think not knowing your identity is synonymous to you know, suicide. Thank you.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah.
He's saying, but also paired with what he's saying, that not knowing is similar to suicide. I feel like finding out is also part of the journey. You know, it's not like you get to a stage where you do this, and then you graduate and like, okay, now you have a degree, you know who you are. So I think it's so there's such a thin line in saying that the journey is finding who you are, but the more you know who you are, the better it is to live holistically as well.
I think what I'm getting from our panelists, it seems identity is a layer. It's like onion, you know, as you grow, you realize, oh, this is me. And then you find more information about your lineage, about your DNA. Oh, this is me. So you just keep on.
So you have to take that first step.
Yes, you have to keep
first and keep going, become Muslim if you have to.
Yes.
Become Rastafarian if you have to. And then,
but you are in the journey.
Part of it will keep unfolding.
Yes, it just keeps unraveling.
It does, no? It does, no? We're almost close to the end. We do acknowledge
Can I just chip in there?
Yes, please.
Yes,
Can I just chip in?
Yes,
just listening to Abuti Tumeleng got me, you know, thinking that it means that we can conclude that one's identity helps you align to your purpose.
Yes.
And I know I personally struggled with finding what my life purpose is. You know, the Bible says before we were born, God knew the number of hairs on our head. He already knew us. He already knew what our purpose was in this particular lifetime. And it's so difficult for all of us. We go through life struggling, going through trials and tribulations, not knowing whomst are we in order for us to find our purpose. And I concluded personally that if your purpose is not aligned to serving, then your purpose is as good as useless. And what do I mean by serving? Serving is manifold. We serve in different ways.
Yes.
Us having this conversation right now is part of service.
Yes.
Me giving someone advice is part of service. Me developing communities is part of service, because it's part of a greater calling. And I'll also add in to say that, you know, we box in Toaso or Khotwasa as going to initiation school and getting initiated in order for you to align to the higher vibration of what you're called to, whether kibo porofiti bongaka or whichever, you know, spiritual path that you'll be taking. But it's actually not that. Twaso it's you learning every day. Twaso is not boxed to initiation. So as we are sitting here today in this particular conversation, we are undergoing Twaso. So we need to keep an open mind as to what has been boxed as a particular thing is actually much greater than what has been boxed. So I learned during my journey that Twaso keep going through life, because you never stop learning, like what Daniel mentioned when he started to say, in pursuit of knowledge, in pursuit of seeking something greater, in pursuit of seeking to vibrate at a higher frequency in order to get alignment. So that is all part of Twaso.
You know, Gogo Makosi, for me, I think as Africans, we have always fallen behind or undermined the core things that we are, you know, the things that speak to being an African. We've always been made to believe that it's not attractive, you know, it's not the best way to show up. You know, and hence the Western way that is more clean, more modern, more acceptable is how we need to show up. And I'm loving the fact that more and more we are all, it's almost like there's this light that came to say, just be the African that you are. And if it means wear those beads, armor, and have that cloth, then do that if that's what you are called to do. You know, and I love what Ugogo Makosi is saying is Uguti. Sonke, we're in a journey of discovering, and Twaso is just that, you know, finding out the different layers, you know. And I think it's such a pity that it's labeled so it's so dark. Yeah, maybe dark is the better word. Yeah, you don't want to leap over to that other side. And it's about time that we come out and show that, no, actually it's not dark. It is all still seeking the light.
You know what I must say is that the Western education, as I grow up and I look at it, it first destroys whatever it doesn't know, whatever it cannot explain, whatever it cannot quantify, it destroys. And then after it has destroyed it will later, in many millennia, come to knowing and then realize what it has destroyed. But when you look at whether it's our indigenous knowledge as Africans, as other cultures who precedes the Western world, we connect, we learn, we recognize the spirit. So when you look at religion, Western religion, especially Christianity, without knowing the African person, it destroyed everything that is African. Now we're starting to realize that, oh, there is more to this. But here we have made people to actually negate and let go of who they are. Undermine who they are. And how can they enter and be on the world stage when they don't know who they are?
Well, here we are, Vuga Africa, we're wide awake now.
I think also so sorry, I just wanted just to share something about my life. Just short.
Yes.
You know, me, before I even studied theology, I was so gifted. You know, I learned electricity. When people started in my village, DSTV, when it came, I was the first person to install DSTV. I was just a high school child. I was fixing television, all electronic things. It was, you know, I will take something like a television is broken. I will talk to my ancestors and say to them, please show me where I must what I must do. That's how I fixed things. People will come and wonder and sit down. How do you do this thing?
Magic
People will
wand.
bring me broken things and I'll put them together. And I went to do theology. When I went to do theology, when I was in Bible school, there was like a cut. I felt like I'm disconnected from that higher power. The more, especially I went deeper. I remember when I was doing my third year, the disconnection was so. I was feeling like I'm dry. I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah.
And until after that, I felt like I will never go back to what I was. Even though I went to delve into Christianity, preaching Jesus the way, but the disconnection that I knew, because I knew the frequency, I knew the relationship, I was longing to go back until one day there was this like out of the body experience. The reconnection happened in that manner. Like I got out of my body. It was even that day, I was reading a Bible, I threw it on the floor, said, you know what, Jesus, I'm tired of this. I think now of hearing of Gabriel and everything, I'm tired of this, like talking in the room. Then I said, you know what, I just want to see God live now. Then I went to the bed, I slept. But in that space, what happened is that I felt like it's like I was meditating, but I was not meditating intentionally. You should know when you recline and just like relax. But all of a sudden, is the sense of who I thought I was, like the egoic self or the body, I was losing. I remember crying and saying, I'm dying. But now there was nobody to save me till I dissolved. And I experienced me as without the body. And then I realized, okay, I cannot die. You don't lose. I don't lose me. But the body, I could perceive it. I was like, but okay, there's no death, like something like that. But now it was more of frequencies and different energies that they need another time to be explained. When I came back to the body could not contain me because it was spinning. It spinned from the bed where I was sleeping. I was rolling on the floor like somebody who's electrocuted. The energy was so too much. The following morning, I was like, it was like a bliss kind of. The following morning, when I was looking at outside, the trees were inside me. The relationship with nature was reactivated. I valued nature. I love nature. I love flowers. That's how my awakening back to who I really am came in now. Then I started becoming the different person I am today.
You got the network back.
No.
Yes, that's how I reconnected back to this journey. Yeah.
I love your story when you say, Jesus, I'm tired of this. And honestly, the spiritual comes that time where you're like, I'm tired of these stories, this misunderstanding. Can we just get to the point?
About me.
You know?
And anything I think Maleng mentioned in the nature and how we connect with nature, and it's something that maybe we need to discuss another time, because there's a very powerful sense of connection that comes with water, with just nature. And I don't know if it's an African thing, but personally, I've seen that for me, it's the water.
So for you, it's the water, right?
Definitely, yeah.
For me, it's the soil. When I touch soil, something happens. And when I look at our daughter, it's the stones. He will literally ask you to stop while you are driving and say, can you reverse back? I need to pick up that stone. And you're like, all right, let's go back. We don't understand it, but right now we're just doing it. Yeah.
No, isikhathi siyasishaya bathandekayo. I wish we had more time to dwell more into this. It's really an interesting topic. But just to summarize it, just as last and closing comments, please complete the sentence. I do know who I am because, and so of course you will add what it is that makes you know that you know who you are. I'll start with you, Itumeleng, and then we'll go around just to close it off. Yeah, I know. Even at this, the load shedding also is like.
I think I know who I am because every day I strive to live in alignment with the cosmos. I try to live in alignment with my purpose. I try to live in alignment with those who came before me and who guide me. I think I know who I am because ke phethahatsa ditaelo tse tharo, which is ho ila, ho hlweka, le ho boka badimo.
Translate the two. Translate. If you say that last part in English, just for everybody, including the Zulu people. That last part, Edu.
Oh, I was saying, I think I know who I am. I tend to the dialects of Thabo, which are like Uila, which means abstinence. And the second one, Uhlweka, which is Ubokabadimu, which is to prevent the sisters.
The line, I think it's our connection that is bad this side, but thank you so much for that. Itumeleng Gogo Makhosi, I do know who I am because
I do know who I am because I am wired differently.
yeah. Do you want to elaborate or it just ends there? Because
I am Linda. Oh, wired differently. So normal wires, mine are crisscross.
Okay.
Okay,
And
so if it's a straight line, it's not your problem. Yeah, how about in crisscross, then you know, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, no. Confirm.
Yeah.
I know who I am because I am Linda. And me being Linda, it took me so long to understand what my name means. It means wait, it means patience. And I have learned that me being Linda, time and patience go together, right? And faith without waiting is useless. I've learned, okay, me being Linda, I know that I am spirit, I am water, I am wind, I am fire. I am a powerful force to be reckoned with. And I know who I am because greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. I am God. God lives in me. That's it.
Thank you, Gogo Makhosi.
That's deep, man. That is deep. Daniel, I do know who I am because
I do know who I am because I am the channel or the broadcasting center of the intelligence which makes up of the source that broadcasts itself in diverse ways as my ancestors, in ways that uses me to be beneficial to other human beings, to the world, or to the universe at large, for whatever is good for the universe to be able to expand as it meant to be through me.
That is deep, okay? That's a line. I'm gonna steal that one. You must write it down for me. Go and I mean, connect tonight because I think that's actually very complex, but I understand what he's saying. Uguti, just like Umama Kosi had said in about serving, that we are all here to serve. For as long as our purpose does not serve the next person, then it is good. It is as good as useless. So I roger that, Daniel. And then lastly, we have Tapelo Shem. He joined us very late. Tapelo, do you have any question, any point that you'd like to add just before we lock this one off?
Tapelo?
Hi. Thapelo a ka-
Thapelo, ha re utlwe. Gogo Makhosi, thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate your wisdom. O re lebogele thata go badimong gore ba bara dibile wena gompieno le nako ya lona. Ra leboga Daniel, re lebogela dithuto tse re di kry-ileng mo go lona. Itumeleng ra leboga re lebogile thata. We wish you all the best in the research and keep us posted.
And then to everybody else
To everybody who joined
has, took their time, Dr. Gogo M, Ama, some people, Tohonola had just logged in and I'm sure it was network issues.
Yeah.
Thank you to everyone, guys.
He was there.
He also did join us, so we appreciate the support and we appreciate the wisdom that you guys are willing to share with us, because as Tito Kang, we want to really dig deep into issues of the African child, and hopefully hoping that somebody will benefit. And as Umakosi had said so many times, that we're here to serve, and we are serving the African nation, and we are hoping that it really changes somebody's life or adds the light to the next person.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. And that's deep. Heritage Month.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adios.
Amako.
Bye.
Bye.
Sharing the link with you guys and not so long. Thank you so much.
Thokoza Makhosi.
Thokoza, Makhosi.
Good night.
Good night.
I'm going to end it here. Bye, guys.
Bye.